welcome back. This is going to be a short little introduction because I have a pretty gnarly cold that I caught from my wife and my youngest son, so I can't talk very well. So I'm not going to sit here and do a whole lot of videotaping because I don't feel very good. But what I'm going to do is for this section here, again, which is part of the back area I'm trying to get done, right there in that spot is where the Hobbit house goes, which if you saw some earlier videos, you know why I say that. I'm going to use this beat up old shed and put it up here, and it's just going to be, you know, their lawn and like a low grassy field, not a real wild field like the teddy bear fur, a little bit different. So I have things marked off, and what I'm going to challenge myself was, can I do this with cheap Heki grass mats? I'll get the information on them. Excuse me, but these are not real expensive. This is kind of a, I think it's like a meadow. It looked pretty good. I'm going to use that one right there. This will be the gentleman's lawn around his house, and then another piece that's going to be down there at that end. So all I'm going to do now, so I've got them cut out, and I have the cutouts for the house and obviously for the shed, and they're marked. I'm just going to glue them down. Now, from that point on, if I feel better, then maybe I'll kind of try to do some more, you know, actual hands-on stuff with the camera and everything. But again, this is a little bit harder. It's a little further away. I don't know how well that's going to work, but we'll see what we can do. I wanted to challenge myself to do this with these less expensive mats and see if I can pull it off. So, all right. So all I'm going to do now is that they're cut out, I'm going to glue them down, get them glued overnight, hopefully feel better, and then we will do some more later. Okay, the mats are down and drying. Just used tight bond carpenter glue, the yellow glue. Put it down, force it in, work the seams. I did roll the lower grass with this wallpaper seam roller. Kind of keep it nice and flat, make sure the glue spread around, and then, you know, around the edges of everything. Okay, let that dry up. Hopefully I feel better, and we will move on ahead. Alright, got that stuff in there, and those mats are now glued down and drying. Been several days. I got a pretty nasty cold, so I had about a week. I wasn't really doing too much of anything. I didn't feel like it. So we'll get back into it here. And what I'm going to do now is back along in here, right at the very back edge of the tree line there, I want to put some scruffy low bushes type stuff in there, and then get the shed, the house put in, and then start doing the lawn work. That'll be pretty easy. So I got a couple other scrap pieces of different mat. These are some of the model scene mats. This one I actually peeled the little felt base off because it makes it a little bit lower. Got some of the model scene bushes. This is one of the this is actually a furnace filter that I pulled apart, like the rubberized horsehair, and that's kind of a green color. And this is some of the coconut liner, similar to what was used on top of the hill. So I'm going to get some of these, figure out what I want to put where, and just glue them in and get those in and setting. Then we'll continue on. I forgot, I may also use this. This is some of the Polak short flowers. They call it violet, but really it's a real nice dark subdued color. I really wouldn't call it violet. That's what they call it, but it's got a nice nice color to it. So I also might use some of this. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do and get that stuff ready to go in there in the back tree line. Okay, now I realize the light here isn't the greatest, but so be it. So I have some of these pieces of mat that I ripped up, and all I'm going to do is just glue them Just kind of go across the back there and just glue stuff in. I don't know, whatever tickles my fancy. I'm just going to do it. So I guess I can let this run and try to get some of these pieces put in where I think it makes somewhat the most sense. These are nice because you can rip these to be thinner once you have that back off of them. And again, I'm not super worried. I'm just going to kind of just glue things in where I think it looks good. And then I'll come back and I also have to do some remedial matching of scenery colors and whatnot. But this is the first step here. You can tell my voice is still a little bit raspy from the cold, but that's the way it goes. So that's see, I got some glue on the grass. Oh no! That's just gonna be like that. Let's see. This piece looks good. I'm going to take some of these MP Scenery Foliage clusters, medium green. They're a nice airy type thing. It just kind of sticks them in there, just kind of randomly. I'm not even going to glue these in, to be honest. I'm just going to kind of build up the... Alright, I worked ahead a little bit just because this is a really hard area to try to film. But what I did was I took some of that Polak flowers. That I'm really liking this stuff. This is a really nice color. And you can see I kind of worked it along the edge there. Gives it a nice 3D texture. And I worked around the whole back. So pretty much the back edge now is done. Again, this is going to be hard to see when things are done and some more trees go in and whatnot. But so that's that. That's all done. Even down here around the edge a little bit between the field, and this is all going to be wooded up that way. So now what I'm going to do is come back with some dirts and just kind of vary the ground a little bit. I'm not going to film it. It's too hard to see back here. So I'll come back when I get that done. I want to work on these edges. And probably work on the front edge a little bit. Put some bare spots, probably some longer grasses in there. Again, probably using more of this stuff because I'm really starting to like it. So, all right, so we'll come back when we get a little bit more done. All right, so I went in and kind of blended all the edges with the various dirts and Woodland Scenics Burnt Grass and burnt grass, green grass, weeds, some leaf litter from Scenic Express, some other dirts, and just kind of matched them all together. Matched the 3 different mats along the edge, where the edges were shown a little bit. Kind of worked that all together. Worked the edge here between the longer grass and the shorter grass. The edge up here, up around the side there. And then as I showed around the back. So I'm just kind of showing us, I didn't put the wet water and the adhesive down yet. I'm going to do that now. Colors may change a little bit, but most of these tend to return after they dry back to this kind of color. So this should look relatively like this once it dries up. And then I'll come back and put some higher grasses in. Again, probably some of the Polak, maybe even some of the Heki wild grass. Down in the more wild areas here. I got to figure out if I want to do some gravel or dirt for where they kind of pull off to park they didn't really have a garage, just got to pull their car off the road, but there'd be some evidence of that. And then right there is going to be that, this right here, this beat up old shed. I kind of like the way that looks. I weathered that up and really kind of made it look beat and forlorn, like it's kind of it's abandoned, and might even have a tree, you know, like a little shrub growing out of the hole in the roof. That might look pretty cool. So that'll go there. So all right, so let's get this drying up, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, here we are the next day. Things dried up, and you can see these colors kind of went back to the original colors. These don't tend to fade or change or stay darker like some of the other ground material. So what I'm going to do now is get the house and get the shed installed. I have them, I just knocked my house over. I have them drying up a little bit. Putting some of the hobby tack on, just a little bit on the bottom. Gonna get those placed, I said here, here, and then work some other stuff in. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that set up a little bit, get tacky, and then put those in. Okay, so while things are drying up here, I decided to go ahead and make a little fence. I just thought it would look kind of good, just something there. Real old, it's be old rickety and just really kind of falling apart. And what it is, I had some old toothpicks from before that I had stained. Looked about the right size, so I just took them, drilled holes in them, got some of the old wire that I had. I don't even know what size it is. I just figured out a number. What size hole? 76 hole worked. I drilled it, made up a little right angle piece of fence, and then I'm going to stick it in there, and then we have a little bit of fence there for that area. So that's just one thing that I did while everything else here is now drying up. The diluted matte medium is on, or the Mod Podge is on it drying stuff up. So I just wanted to show that. Alright, I actually worked ahead. I do apologize. This is not going to be one of the better how-we's, only because it really is difficult for as far back as it is off the front of the layout to really get the camera set up and show you guys what's going on. So I do apologize. Other ones will be better because the next areas are going to be a lot closer to the edge and be quite a bit easier to actually film work going on. So just bear with me on that one. So what I did here, I came through and put some of the higher Polak grass, or the flowers actually, although I really like the way they look. For most of the scene, the higher grasses I'll call it, I guess. Again, I use the Polak 5973 short flowers violet, which really is a stretch. They don't look violet, they're just a nice subdued color. And then for the other field area, I use the 5974 short flowers yellow and stretched them real thin. It looks a lot thicker in the blister pack, but they really do stretch out kind of thin. I'll try to zoom in on this field here. That's the one area where it's mostly the yellow flowers, to be honest, on top of that Heki mat. And then I did come through with some filigrane busha, put that in, sprinkled some more dirt in there to make it look a little bit more, bare in certain areas. So hopefully that shows up okay, but that's all that is, and I like the look of that. That looks, to me, that looks pretty nice. In my opinion, I guess. And around the shed, I did some other work and put some more of that in there. And you can see I decided to add some shrubbery coming out of the the various openings. Figured over time, nature starts to take over things, and it can be pretty aggressive. So it's doing its thing there. You can see it's kind of grown up there along the shed. I added a tree there. Again, this is it's a custom made, or a commercial tree that I actually, when I purchased some of the Polak stuff, let's see, this tree is actually made by a company called Anita Decor, It's a birch tree. I like it. It was expensive, but I wanted to try it. And the gentleman actually gave me a relatively decent price on it, since I was picking up some other stuff, so I figured I would try it. So that tree just kind of looked okay to me sitting there. And then there, of course, is the fence that I talked about. That's just some toothpicks that were stained. Drilled a number 76 hole and ran some wire through it. Then I added some detail. There's a fire hydrant there and one of those, I don't know, cable boxes or whatever it is, and then some other bushes around there. There's his vehicle. I figured it's not going to be a real fancy vehicle. This guy's struggling a little bit, working 2 jobs and everything. So that's a 1996 Ford Taurus. Not weathered or anything. It's an Atlas one that I had in my box. So, you know, that's kind of the vehicle that I can kind of see this guy having. And then did a little bit of some detailing around the house, although he doesn't have a lot of time to do a lot of yard work. He's just so darn busy trying to make ends meet. I had another one of those telephone markers there. And then that bottom field area, again's got more of the yellow flowers. Excuse me. I'm still raspy from this darn cold. And some of the filigrane busha. And then I added a larger, that's a relatively large piece of the filigrane bush for a tree back there. Just looked kind of nice. And I don't know why. I just went in there and added some of those stones in there. I don't know. I was just kind of playing around, and to me it looked okay. I don't know. You tell me. And 2 poplar trees there. Those are MP scenery trees that just kind of made sense. I just kind of put them there. So, all right. So that's that scene. Again, I do apologize. I realized I did not do nearly as much actually showing the work, but it's a harder area because right now I'm on the second step of a stool trying to show this, so it's just hard to work and keep the camera anywhere near where you can see what's going on. But I will endeavor to do it better next time, and as long as I'm close to the edge of the layout, it should not be a problem. So that's that scene. Again, I'm not going to say it's 100% done, maybe 80, 85%, but it's to the point now where I can stop, move on, do other things, and then come back and detail it. And I have to do some more detailing around the house, especially. I actually have an idea maybe for a small shed, because this poor guy's got nowhere to store anything. And if you think about it, you even a lawnmower, where are you going to put it? And this gas grill that I did, for now, it kind of stuck outside. But I have a small shed that might fit pretty nicely right back in here, just to give him some ability to store some of his yard equipment and a lawn chair or whatever. It just seems to me you'd have to have something there. All right. Hopefully that shows up okay. You can kind of see, again, this started pretty much just with those 3 pieces of the Heki real cheap grass mat. And the main thing here was just some other ground foams and those Polak short flowers just kind of strung out. That's really the bulk of it. So there we go. There's a small lawn / low field with an abandoned shed. Hopefully it was interesting, and we'll keep forging ahead and doing more of these as we get some more conducive areas to actually show work. So thanks for watching. Do appreciate it. And we'll be back with more shortly.